And then, based on what you've said so far, the other, like, this is one pattern. I feel like still tentative because I'm not exactly sure. We haven't talked enough about what really makes things the hardest for you. But the other one that you've talked about is sometimes you also have flashbacks, like really bad PTSD from childhood abuse and then subsequent assaults, really. And so I think the other, I'm going to put it up here also, because the other thing that seems to happen is I think of it as anxiety, and then sometimes you like dissociate, you check out, you get numb, your brain just shuts off to try to protect you. And but when those flashbacks are so intense, it feels like that's another huge thing that's happening. Um, and sometimes these things interact. It's kind of like something in an interpersonal situation. As you're getting desperate, there's something that goes back and forth. So it's not like these are totally separate, but I feel like this is another helping you with the type of anxiety, this kind of the symptoms that come from PTSD is another thing that's really, really important. So what I'm thinking about is how to help you with this, and I think skills, DBT skills training may be a really good solution for you. And so let me tell you just a little bit about it to see what you think. But what it sounds like when we've talked so far, the emotions get so intense and so fast, and a lot of times you're just like white knuckling it. And one of the things I think you never really had a chance to learn is how do you treat yourself? Like, how do you manage yourself if you're just wired as a more emotional person? And so there are a bunch of skills that are exactly for that, because lots of people never learn that. And so that would be emotion regulation skills. This is all stuff about like how do you help yourself not be as vulnerable to emotions? How do you actually get emotions to come down when you need them to come down? Things like that. How do you use the information from the emotion to move effectively in the world? So, I think for you, sometimes you're sad and you just dismiss it and tell yourself you're weak and bad for feeling that way. And there's this process of having the shame fire in response to when you're sad actually keeps you from doing some things that I think might be really important, like what you were saying with that one friend of yours, where you might reach out in a more skillful way. And so that's the other thing I think for you that might be super important is there's a whole set on interpersonal skills about how to say no and how to ask for what you want. And I think that that's a super hard one for you, so that's another one. And then the other thing it feels like to me is you've said with the PTSD and the way your mind, you just shut down. I think there's a way it's almost like your brain has learned to avoid automatically. And it's avoiding a lot of stuff very fast, and you end up dissociated. So the other thing that I think will be fantastic for you is mindfulness. There's some skills that all are about how do you train your attention to be present and aware, so that information is actually influencing you, and you have a bit more control over where it's almost like your attention is a flashlight, and it's not like jerking all around. It's actually you're able to direct it and pay attention to what is important in a moment, which often is your emotions and things that are painful. So anyway, I think that mindfulness will be another really important thing. And then I actually think the last set of skills is called distress tolerance. It's how do you stay in a hard moment without making the situation worse? Listening to some of the things that you say you do that are extreme, I think this is going to be it's like how do you be in the very hardest moment and then not do something that actually makes it worse? Say something, do something extreme. So, and we might even want to start with the stress tolerance skills today, I think.